Hello and welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping or wholesaling houses, and if you're doing it already, how to grow your business. So, by request, someone asked about paying for a seller's closing costs. This is a great topic. I never even thought about dealing with it, and it comes up a lot because when you watch other people on the internet who do this in other states, that becomes a big selling point to a seller. We're going to cover all your closing costs. It's a little ridiculous to me because closing costs in most other states are a few $100s. Yeah, I guess people don't know that, and using that makes it easier as an easier sell. I'm going to cover all your closing costs. In New York, closing costs are tremendous, right? When I buy something, I figure usually $10,000 to close. We have mortgage tax in New York. In Long Island, it's 1% if you take a loan. We have transfer tax in New York, which a seller pays, which is $4 per thousand. Legal fees are $2,000-$3,000, and there's just a lot of costs. Recording costs in Nassau County are insane. You can pay thousands of dollars in recording costs when you close that property. So, do I pay sellers closing costs, and how do you do that? So, in general, I try to not pay sellers closing costs. However, a lot of my direct mail says, because I use standard postcards, it says I'll pay your closing costs. So, what happens? So that comes up a lot. Not a lot, it comes up sometimes. So if somebody says, hey, you said you're going to cover my closing costs, what are you going to cover? So I say to them, listen, your attorney's fee is something you're going to negotiate with your attorney. I'm not going to cover that. I'll cover your transfer tax, which is usually $4 per thousand. So we're talking about if it's a $300,000, if it's a $300,000 sale to you, it's $1,200, not bad. And I say, I'll cover the transfer tax, which is a big chunk of your closing costs. They don't really understand. They say, okay. But I say I'm not going to cover any taxes that are due, right? That you have to pay until the day you close. I'm not going to cover your attorney's fees. Usually from a seller, that's a big chunk of their costs, and I don't cover that unless they make it, unless I'm not going to lose a deal over a couple $1,000s. So if a seller says to me, hey, I need you to cover the closing costs, or it's no deal, I'll probably agree, right? Depending on how much room there is and how we negotiated the price, that kind of thing. But this whole concept that you see on the internet of, oh, we just offer to cover the closing costs, to me, it's almost comical, because in states like North Carolina, the total closing cost is $600. But I guess if you're dealing with price points that are much lower than we do, so you're dealing with price points where you're buying a house for $40,000, that $600 makes a big difference. So will I cover closing costs? I will. Do I usually? No. If people are coming to me via direct mail and they say, hey, on your postcard, it'll say I'll cover it, I'll say I'll cover your transfer tax. I can't cover your attorney's fee because that's something you're going to negotiate with your attorney. And I can't cover any taxes that are due on the seller. You got to understand, the seller's closing costs are not that much in New York. Buyer's closing costs are crazy, right? I may have $10,000 in closing costs. The seller is not going to have that much. So I say I'll cover your transfer tax. It could be a couple $1,000s. Usually they're okay with that. And usually that's not going to kill the deal. It's usually enough room that it's okay. So I don't push it, right? I don't push it as a selling point because I think it's really not pushed that much. If it's someone who, in other words, it really depends what their other options are. So you've got to ask sellers the question of, why don't you keep it? Why don't you list it? Why don't you rent it? You want to ask them that. People are terrified of asking those questions. What if the guy didn't know we could list it? Like, everybody knows they could list it. Everybody knows they could keep it. So you bring those things up and you find out what is your real competition. So if a guy wants to list it, and he goes, I may list it, I'm thinking of selling it to you, then I'll push really hard. I will push really hard on the fact they don't have to pay commissions, right? Now, commissions in thank you for all the love, Greg. I'll push hard on commissions. So I'll say, listen, you're going to save yourself 5-6%. That's already a big number in New York. If the guy's selling you a house for $300,000, he has a 6% commission. That's already $18,000. That's a big chunk. So I'll push that. But I won't push closing costs that much because I find most people here don't cover him, and the seller's closing cost is minuscule in relation to the deal size here. So again, if someone gets a postcard from me and they say, hey, you said you're going to cover closing costs, I'll say I'll pay for your transfer tax. If they make it the biggest deal and I don't want to pay closing costs, I want everything net, then I will, if there's enough room on the deal, then I'll do it. But most of the time, I don't really bring it up that much. I know it's a bigger deal in other states where the price points are much lower, but in New York, seller's closing costs, usually I don't pay them, usually. And because the truth is relative in New York, they're not so bad. Closing costs on the buy are really where you get screwed in New York. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in how I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you please click like. It's my thumb. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, I answer them as quick as I can. If you have any requests for videos you want me to do, I'll be happy to do it. So comment below. Thank you very, very much for watching.